am the new generation of scary stories. It's time to retire the boring, emotionless voiceovers. With my voice and melody, you will experience the full spectrum of emotions. Subscribe if you like my videos, and also send me your scary stories to my email. And please indicate how you would like me to introduce you in the video. Good luck.
I usually get tired of reading true stories on Reddit. Know damn well almost all are just written. Very good, just not real. At least I feel that way. While scrolling trying to find something interesting to read, I decided to go ahead and share my story. When I was a kid, my younger years, I lived in a bad neighborhood and have 3 stories about that. One being someone tried to break in my house with a knife, and my sister's friends thought we were out of town as my sister posted on MySpace, and they broke our door down and chased me and my mom to her room. But today's incident hit me totally different. My name is Will, and this story will center around a friend named Tyler. When I was a kid, I used to go to his house all the time. I would fill my backpack up on Friday morning and ride the bus home with him and stay the weekend. It was great. I didn't have a bad life. It was great, but we didn't have a lot of money and lived in a bad area. Now Tyler had a nice house, family still intact, went to church all the time, and it was just different for me. It felt like an escape from my own life, even when my life wasn't horrible or I wasn't trying to escape it. He lived on a county road and had neighbors not terribly far but not super close either. Probably 3-4 HOUSE widths between them all. He had a big property that was long and went back a lot. He had like 3 sheds that looked like little buildings or cabins that were very homemade and creepy looking at night, and of course surrounded by woods in the back. When everyone would go to sleep at his house, everything was off. No TV, no lights, pitch black, pitch silence except for his mom's box fan. So when wandering around the house or outside when we weren't supposed to, it got creepy understandably. Finally to the actual story. One night we were up playing Kingdom Hearts on PS2, our favorite game, and once we had to turn it off we couldn't sleep. So we went roaming around the house, seeing what we could do. Quietly, in his kitchen is lined with windows behind the counter and faces the backwoods, machetes, and a big glass screen door as well. So we went to go get some Mountain Dew, which we weren't supposed to have late at night. And when he opened the fridge, I swore I saw a light in the shed closest to the house, which was still kinda far but right out from where the woods got a little thicker so you could see it clearly. And once I noticed it, I shut the fridge door almost on his hands. And when he got mad, I told him why, but there was nothing. So we get the Mountain Dew. And when he closes the fridge again, I talk him into waiting at the glass door with me to show him I knew I saw something. About 10 minutes later, a light went on. More like a flashlight with the swaying. You could see it bouncing around inside and reflecting off the 2 little windows in that shed. Very small and very rustic, divided by handmade looking shed. It freaked us out and we ran to his room and talked about all the possibilities and eventually fell asleep. Next weekend, like usual, same circumstances happened and I stayed at his house again. This time we wanted to see if we could see it again. I figured he would have saw it by himself in that week time, but he's the type that is a chicken shit when alone and will only do something that could be scary when around a friend. So after his parents go to sleep, we wait a while and make our way to the windows. When we got there, we didn't see anything. Went and played some games on 0 volume and went back up probably around 2 a.m. When we went out, we didn't see anything still. For some reason, we kinda talked each other into going outside. I honestly can't remember what for, but I imagined something to do with that shed or whatever. We went out the sliding door onto his porch, which is very high off the ground. We were trying to be very quiet even though his parents' room was on the other side of the house. We got on the porch, but I was too outdated to go off of it and wanted to go back in. But once I was about to tell him I wanted to go back in, we heard and saw the door to the shed open. Coming out was some skinny, old disheveled looking person. Probably a homeless old man, but to us kids it might as well been Satan. We didn't move at all, I guess because of fear, but the guy started walking towards our direction a little. Not that he saw us, but something snapped me out of it, and I just remember screaming and running for the door, and when closing the door seeing that man running after us. We didn't even lock the sliding door, and we just bolted for his parents' room. We woke them up, and maybe us turning on the lights. He decided not to come up to the house, but they got up, looked around the house, shined a spotlight from the glass doors, and the door was open. But they reassured us it was probably an animal that got in and they would look tomorrow. As you could tell, we barricaded ourselves in his room and never slept until near daybreak. When we finally woke up around noon, his dad was outside cleaning around the shed. He found a pocket knife and a bunch of wood that was carved into things. His dad brushed it off as already being there, just probably because of all the old random junk around. But I remember the wood looked relatively new, like it was a light color and not dark or aged, but it was brushed off to our imagination, probably due to the fact we always played like that. There was a few times when playing, when it got close to dark, we would hear something like a whistle, but it might have just been a bird or something, but of course we freaked out each time. I don't know what that man was doing in there. IDK why he was walking around at night and started heading for the house. Now growing up, I don't think it was Satan or something creepy. I think it was a homeless old man that was probably going to try to break in to steal food or something, or maybe something worse. Whatever his intentions were or whatever happened those nights, it always stuck with me and still to this day freaks me out. I don't know if some of the things were our kid brains trying to put two and two together, or if we really did hear that man whistling to us. But that is the one thing that happened to me that gave me some bad PTSD around woods at night for a long time. Okay, so this was a long time ago, and I never thought of writing this all down, so here we go, I guess. I grew up in a low-income area in London, early 90s. It was tough, but we had fun. Me and my friends used to get up to mischief a lot. One of our preferred ways to pass the time was to go to the golfy, albeit that just meant climbing a wall that separated our neighborhood from a golf course and collect lost golf balls. I don't know why we did it, but hey, we were young, and the fluorescent yellow balls were kind of cool to us. Anyhow, during one summer break from school, I went out and met up with my best friend. Nobody else was around that day, which was weird because usually the neighborhood was teeming with our friend group. I know that seems trivial, but the whole neighborhood was like unusually quiet, strange vibe, because I remember it was a perfect day. We wandered around talking for a while and inevitably got bored. He suggested a trip to the golfy to see if we could find any balls. So off we went on the short walk. We got there after a short walk. It wasn't far, but I remember that we just couldn't find anyone around. I don't know, it was bizarre to say the least. Like we could hear normal neighborhood noises as you would expect, but we just never encountered anyone. I remember we commented on it being strange, and actually surmised that maybe all our friends had the same idea as us and would be at the golfy waiting for us. Not unusual given none of us had phones, and we would just randomly meet in a few places, most of which we had already been past at this point. So, we arrived at the wall that we usually scrambled over to get to the golfy. He hopped up before me and Saturday astride it to pull me up. Once we were both up, we looked at each other perplexed. I genuinely remember to this day the confusion in his face. We looked over at the place. We had been hundreds of times before, and it was different. Instead of a small wooded area that gave onto the golf course, it was a huge paved area full of rows of greenhouses and odd-looking square areas that looked like they were meant for plants. These greenhouses were not new though. Matter of fact, they looked abandoned, old and not taken care of. Most of them had plastic sheeting over the sides, where the glass used to be, and they were flapping gently in the summer breeze. The squared areas had weeds and the sort growing out of them. Likewise, the paving slabs that made up the floor. We Saturday there for a while watching. We had no clue what to make of it all. Obviously, this was too good to be true in our minds. And once the initial surprise wore off, curiosity set in. We both hopped down and began to explore the place. I know it sounds banal, but the whole area was just off. Like it just didn't seem normal. I can't explain it to this day, but we were sticking close to each other, even though we were laughing and kidding as we went further in. We looked in the greenhouses, and they were just full of run-down equipment of some sort and overgrown with weeds and plants. After about 20 minutes of exploration, I remember we stopped and looked around kind of in disbelief at how big this whole area was. We hadn't changed direction, and now in the middle of all of it could neither see the neighborhood nor the golf course. This is when it got really messed up. As we were stood there, my friend looked at me and said, "Can you hear that?" The look on his face was dead serious, and I stood still listening. "What?" I asked him back. He just put his finger to his lips and listened more. Then I heard it, like a really low hum, like the type a high voltage of electricity makes. IDK something between a hum and a buzz. As we stood there, it got louder and louder, as if it was getting closer, but not from any particular direction, from all around us. We started a brisk walk back to where we came. The buzz kept getting louder until we panicked and started to run. As we ran, and I mean full sprint, through these weird constructions, we started hearing something behind us. I can't explain it. Almost a mechanical noise, like not a human or animal. The plastic sheeting and the way the place was laid out made it impossible to see anything more than 10 divided by 15 meters. So we never saw what it was, but it was there, right behind us. We must have ran hard for 3, maybe 4 minutes, in pure adrenaline, and I remember getting to that wall completely empty and using the last bit of energy I had left to clamber over it. Once over it, both of us threw up, probably from the fact we just sprinted so hard for so long. We made our way back through the neighborhood, and everything seemed normal again. People, cars, activity, and so on was business as usual. The strange part is, once we explained what had happened to our friend group, they obviously all wanted to go see what we had found and what had chased us, understandably, because it sounded insane. The next day, a whole group of us, maybe 10-12s, went back down to see the place. It wasn't there, and I swear, we went up and down that wall for an hour looking for it. It just wasn't there. There is no way it was in some other place. We only used that wall to get there, and given the sheer size of that area, even if we were off by 100 divided by 200 meters, we would have seen it. Nothing, literally nothing. Me and my friend occasionally spoke about it, like, "Hey, remember that day?" But never really more than that. Then I guess life happened and we went our different ways. Hell, maybe he'll read this and recognize the story. Either way, only two of us knew about it until now. This story I had been hiding for years now, but I know if East Ed, it get it off my chest, so this is a tale to wear. I vow we were alone until the night I was proven wrong. This is my story of the Pioneer Trail creature, and before there's a lot of grammatical errors. I spent some time to rewrite it and hopefully make it better. Without further ado, please enjoy. Back in 2017, I was still active in my church, and that summer, my mom convinced me to join the Pioneer Trail hike. Honestly, I wasn't thrilled. Something about it just didn't sit right with me, though I couldn't explain why. That uneasy feeling lingered in my gut as we set off. By the time we stopped for a break, we had already trekked close to 10 miles. I grabbed something to eat like everyone else, but the gnawing sensation that we weren't alone wouldn't leave me. I brushed it off, telling myself, "Don't be stupid, there's nothing out here except us." We continued with our usual camp activities, and that night, after downing a bag of spicy tacos, bad idea, I found myself making a quick bathroom trip before heading back to the cabin, exhausted and ready to crash. Just as I was about to drift off, I heard a sharp crack, a branch snapping. I dismissed it at first, but then came another, and another, and another. My gut twisted. All right, something's not right, I thought. Curious but tense, I pulled myself to the window and peeked outside. What I saw frenzied me to the core. Standing there, partially hidden among the trees, was a creature long, disturbingly thin, its ribs clearly visible under pale, almost translucent skin. It had searing, red eyes that seemed to glow against the dark forest backdrop. It moved with unsettling, jerky motions, sniffing the ground and the air like it was hunting for something. For a moment, it had its back to me, but then, slowly, it began twisting its body, almost unnaturally, toward where I was watching. I panicked, diving back into my bunk, heart pounding so loud I thought it would hear me. What the hell did I just see? Am I losing my mind? Raced through my head as I buried myself under my blanket. Branches kept snapping outside, closer and closer. Unable to hold it in, I shook one of my cabin mates awake. He blinked at me, confused, and said, half joking, "You good, Leo? You look like you just saw a ghost." "I don't know what I saw," I whispered, "but I need you to look." He sighed but agreed. "Okay, but you know there's nothing." Oh, his voice cut off, because it was still there, closer now. Thank God it wasn't looking at us. Without a word, we dropped back into our bunks, yanked the blinds shut, and tried to convince ourselves it would go away. The snapping branches grew louder, but neither of us dared to look again. After what felt like an eternity, I mustered the courage to peek, and it was gone. All that remained outside were down scenes of broken branches, as if something massive had stormed through the forest. We didn't breathe a word of the creature to the counselors. Instead, we claimed we heard a bear in the night. They organized a search, but only found a few strange paw prints that didn't look quite right. My cabin mate and I, we knew better. We knew what we had seen. Since that night, I've never set foot on the Pioneer Trail again. Thank you for sticking around to hear my story. I have plenty more. If you're interested, let me know. If you'd like to hear a few. Until next time, stay safe out there.